Okay. Hello, I'm Fran Rosenfeld, the Director of Public Programs at the Museum of the City of New York. Welcome to Moonlight and Movies, Doing It in the Park. In just a few minutes, we'll be talking with filmmakers Bobbito Garcia, Kevin Couliau, and player Milani Malik about the film, Doing It in the Park, and the world of pickup basketball in New York City. Tonight's program kicks off our 2020 Moonlight and Movies Summer Movie Series. Our theme this year is basketball, the quintessential NYC sport. And it's inspired by the museum's big new exhibition, City Game, Basketball in New York. Moonlight and Movies is made possible by Sophia and Peter Volandis. We truly appreciate the Volandis' continued support, especially as we shift the series from the museum's back terrace to its current online version. A few logistics. If you haven't yet watched the film Doing It in the Park, but pre-registered for this program, please note the film link will be available until midnight tonight. A link was emailed to all who pre-registered. If you didn't pre-register or you're watching this program right now on YouTube, you can visit the film's website and rent it there directly at buy.doingitinthepark.com. Also, we'll be taking questions throughout the program via the Zoom question function. So please feel free to submit your questions there, and we'll take as many as we have time for. I'd now like to briefly introduce our speakers. Bobbito Garcia is a New Yorker, critically acclaimed author, filmmaker, former New York Knicks MSG Network halftime reporter, and director-host of the ESPN Plus Sneaker Center series. In addition to acting as a special consultant for our exhibition City Game, he was also a contributor to the exhibition's companion book. Currently, he produces his Full Court Tournament 21 in 30 international cities. Kevin Couliau is a Paris-based photographer and filmmaker who searches for stories that reveal basketball's impact on individuals and their communities. He publishes the independent magazine Asphalt Chronicles and works on assignments globally for commercial clients, including the NBA. And last but certainly not least, Milani Malik is a New Yorker and professional basketball player who's played internationally in numerous countries. She played for the NYC Thunder in the Bronx as the only woman to play in the ABA professionally. She's an award-winning streetball player featured in Doing It in the Park, and she's also a sports and business professional. Bobbito, Kevin, Milani, take it away.
Yo, what up?
Hey.
If I'm allowed to speak in that type of vernacular for the Museum of the City of New York, it's an honor. Let me first say that I grew up on 97th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam, not, like a hop skip from the Museum of the City of New York. So to have my first film be screened as part of the programming there is like, it's beyond me, because when we were young, we would go to the museum and, just be in awe of the art and the photos and the programming there. But we didn't necessarily feel included back in the 60s and 70s. And so, kudos to the museum for being on an outreach level to the local community and to the New Yorkers that really create just a good feeling. The opening for the City Game exhibition was like a family affair reunion. And one of the last things I attended prior to the pandemic, and being a part of the consulting that for Lily Tuttle, the lead curator, was just a joyride, complete joyride. So thanks for everything the museum is doing for the basketball community in New York, to recognize it. And beyond that, gratitude for screening and sharing with your patrons Doing It in the Park Pickup Basketball NYC, which was conceived by me in 2010, simply by watching a short video that Kevin Couliau had produced and directed, titled Heart and Soul of New York City. Kevin, you want to give them a little info about that that piece?
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, Museum of the City of New York, for having us. Obviously, I was glad to be part of the show. Thanks to you, Bob, and part of the book. So yeah, to circle back to my first film about New York City basketball. It was in 2009. I spent 3 months on the asphalt, shooting all the tournaments I could with just a small video camera, and I managed to do this film for a German basketball brand and rap artist Pit Rock and Red Cafe. Yeah, it's basically like a in between basketball clip and hip hop clip about like a summer of streetball in New York City, just a love letter to New York City summer basketball that we shot in 2009 and released early 2010, and that managed to get 1 million views quickly online and became an instant classic of the culture, to my surprise, obviously, and the surprise of everybody who helped me do the film.
So,
you,
well, I watched it, and it was the winter or the spring, and I was on the road, and I was missing New York, and I watched it literally like 5 times in a row, and I emailed Kevin. I still have what I wrote. I was like, "What are you doing this summer? I'm single. I don't have any kids." I've always had this idea to document pickup basketball in New York. You clearly have a really interesting eye for the sport within the urban landscape. And what did you respond? How did you respond to my email? Do you remember?
I think I was on board for sure right away. I don't even remember. I should check my email.
I'll tell you what happened. You said, "Yo, Bob, I'm unemployed. The French government is giving me unemployment." So you said, "I'll come to New York," and I said, "You can sleep on my couch, and we'll go out and play basketball every single day." And quite honestly, Kevin, between that summer 2010 and the following one, where we had a couple of pickup shoots, we wound up visiting 180 courts in 75 days. And the reason why I know that exact detail is because I had my pad, you had your bicycle, you had your Canon 5D, you had your tripods, I had our release forms, and you and I just hit the pavement hard, and not in a figurative way. I mean, like literally hit the pavement. And and I think both of us had this unforgettable, amazing experience where we crossed paths with legends, with unknowns, with some seedy characters in certain parks. I know you were assaulted not assaulted, but remember the dude slapped your camera, yeah, at Dean Street. It's funny. It's like 2010, 10 years. It's been a decade since we embarked on that film, the making of it, and it's really like a irreplaceable moment in my basketball history and in my life. I mean, I played pro ball. I was on an annual mixtape tour, did Nike freestyle commercials. Like I've done a lot of stuff. Like that summer, playing every day, just going to courts at night on our bicycles, trying to find run, and then like sometimes like not finding any, and then me and you playing or finding some, and like setting up the tripod and asking permission if we could, always being respectful to the players. Like it's just like this an indelible memory. Making that film.
That's what I was thinking today. During the afternoon, I was thinking about that, because how often in somebody's life you get to spend like 2 summers with your friend playing basketball, being creative, and just you don't have anything to worry about but playing basketball and enjoying yourself, and not every basketball player get to experience that, and because even though it's a team sport, you're by yourself, when you're trying to develop a career or when you love the game. And for me, being French and being abroad, coming to New York City outside of my comfort zone, I learned a lot, being on the asphalt and then navigating in New York City and meeting all the people we bumped into.
We interviewed some playground legends. We came across some new friends, like Milani Malik, who I had been playing ball with Milani dating back to the 14th Street Y. And we immediately hit it off because, we were both passionate about going hard, winning and having that, that little edge of like showmanship as well, like trying to, win the crowd over, even if it's only 5 guys on the side, Milani, when we asked you to be interviewed for the film, what was on your mind that day? I mean, because you nailed your interview so hard. But I don't imagine that there were that many interviews prior to that with the angle that we had, which was, we're not asking you about playing pro. We're not asking you about, playing in college. We're asking about playing outdoors in New York, and not in tournaments, but like straight pickup. So it was a different disposition that you had to take. And I was just wondering, like, walking to the interview, what was on your mind? Or if maybe there wasn't anything on your mind.
Honestly, I was just excited because, it was, we always played pickup with you guys. You would send an email and say, hey, today we're at this court. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, oh, we're there. Because it's not like, especially in New York, you're not going to just walk to a court and see it dominated by females and the men waiting to get next. You know what I mean? So it was an opportunity to be seen, and you're going to play against some guys that are really good, some guys that are not. And so how I looked at it, like, I want to become better, so I'm going to play with the men, and I'm gonna talk trash because I want them to play hard and don't take it easy,
Yeah.
And then you earn a certain level of respect when you come out there. They look at you like, it's just a girl. But then you come out there and you hold your own and you do your thing. Now you have a certain amount of respect, and then okay, now we'll pick you up. Now you can play again. But no matter what court you go to, you have to establish yourself every single time, over and over again, just because you're a female, So when you said, let's do an interview, it was cool because I was like, well, I could just have my take on it and how I approach it when I come to, a court and I'm like, I got next. And they're like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, no, I have next, So it was great. And I didn't even realize certain clips were going to be in the movie because we were literally just playing that day. And then, it just came together.
Sure. I mean, well, you came to play at the GOAT the same day that we had Rich Medina, the world famous DJ, playing with us. The same day that Jamie Riley was in town from Scotland. Who else was there that day at the GOAT?
Nikki came too.
To the GOAT? No, Nikki played.
Nikki there that day?
Nikki didn't come to the GOAT. Nikki Avery, who we're mentioning, played with us at Cherry Tree Playground on 100th Street and 3rd Avenue. And that's another open run that we had, which was probably in terms of footage, even more outstanding than the GOAT, because Kevin, remind me if I'm correct, your brother David Couliau, who's a fantastic cinematographer, had a second camera that day that we shot at Cherry Tree on 100th Street in Spanish Harlem. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah. Why don't you share? Because David is kind of like the unsung hero of our film. I mean, you and I, we're the ones who were on camera and, went to all the courts. But David not only brought additional cinematography. You were the director of photography. He was the second camera. But he also edited the film, and which, he brought a sensibility to it that me as a first-time filmmaker, I couldn't have projected. I mean, my first treatment that I wrote for the film was very different than what David wound up creating with his sensibility of moving from scene to scene. What were your experiences with David as editor prior to our film? Did you have any, or was that a first-time experience working with him as well in that capacity?
It was my first time on a full-length piece. He helped me a little bit on Art and Sort of New York City, but I grew up watching my brother doing skateboarding videos. Shooting with all types of cameras and basically doing like DIY stuff with like VHS recorders at home, like breaking them and doing edits the old school way. And since he mastered that craft, like when he started editing digital, it was easy. The strength of my brother is obviously he's a good editor because he comes from that skateboarding background, but he is also a good storyteller. He knows how to structure a thought and a film. So we didn't know because we were first-time filmmakers and we didn't write anything besides questions on the post-its. But we had a clear idea of what we wanted. We knew exactly how we wanted to do.
Milani thinks she's being defended right now. She's like doing crossovers on her camera. Stand still, Milani.
He fell.
Yo, she just did a little whip wop, like whoop whoop. Hold your chill. Yo. Milani, you were wonderfully supportive as an interviewee. I mean, you made yourself available for press. As me and Kevin were, doing magazines and television. We had that wonderful morning news appearance on Fox 5 that where you cracked Greg Kelly. Do you remember that, Kev?
I didn't mean to make him fall, but he was adamant about show me something.
Yeah.
When he went to guard, I just spun and he just fell back. He floored it.
He had on them dress shoes. That's what happened. You hit him with the doop. But I'm curious. I was blown away by the support. I kind of anticipated that, this film would touch people in a way that it did. So we achieved that goal. But I mean, you attended a number of screenings. You came to Rucker Park when we screened it outdoors on the, the hallowed ground of the world's most famous outdoor court. You came to our theatrical premiere that was part of the Urban World Festival, where we got the Audience Award for best documentary. Actually, we got the Audience Award for best feature. What is perhaps like your fondest memory, or maybe your most revealing moment of being in the audience and receiving the love afterwards? And Kevin, I'm gonna point that question to you as well. After let Milani answer that first, and then you can answer that.
Probably when we were in the theater, when the particular picture we took where the entire cast was there, Pee Wee Kirkland.
Oh yeah.
I mean that was just phenomenal because he stood up and he spoke at the end, and everything he said resonated with you, and I just felt that was like a pivotal moment because the entire crowd was engaged. It was quiet. We all went on the stage and took a group picture, and it was like one of the first times the entire cast that you had in the film was just together. It was amazing.
It's the only time.
It was amazing.
It was the only time that the entire cast was in one place for the screening. And I want to say rest in peace to Butch Purcell, mentor, coach, and dear friend. I mean, I've known him for 30 years. He passed away earlier this year, and he was in the film. One of the major contributors, not just giving us an on-camera interview, but also with loads and loads of information about the Rucker and the playground legends like Earl Manigault, and also photos. I mean, Kevin and I, we dug through libraries and archives and Kevin found, what was the photographer that had shot West 4th Street in the 70s? I can't remember his name right now, but Larry Recipio. Some photographers who were featured in the City Game exhibition at the Museum of the City of New York. So rest in peace to Butch. But Kevin, what would be of all the screenings that we did? And you and I, we did a sponsored tour by Nike of 11 international cities. We did Mexico City, we did Tokyo, we did Manila, in the Philippines. What would be your fondest memory? And you can say Paris if you want, because Paris was kind of out of control.
Obviously, I mean, the one in Paris was insane to see such a huge line waiting outdoors. The big movie theater we have not far from where I live, by the way. But
wait, so can I just share, Milani? We showed up to the theater. It was called MK2.
Yeah,
MK2. There was a line of like 700 people like going down the block.
Oh,
so I look at, we walking up and I look at Kevin, I was like, yo, is the new Batman film like premiering tonight too? Like, that's gonna crush us. Like, dang, like we like the little film. He's like, nah, Bob, they're here for us. And as soon as he said that, yo, Bobbito, oh, yo, what's up? We're like, yo, like the standing room. Crazy. Paris was standing room only. I couldn't even watch the film. I don't know if I told you this, Kev. I went and got some chocolate. Yeah. I was like in the hallway. I was like, yo, this is like too much. I'm sorry, Kev. Back to you.
Yeah, no, this one was insane because you never know. Like it was a year after the world tour. We didn't really know what to expect. It took time to bring the film to Paris.
Yeah.
In the right conditions too.
Yeah.
But besides this one, I think the one in Manila, because every date we've done on the road with Nike was amazing because you really measure the impact New York City basketball has on people, and such a piece that we did, like an influence on people. It's you really like could touch the influence right in front of you, like the kids in Manila, the people, the community over there. Like they were so excited and they really like supported us and still to this day, like we're still friends with them, and they are asking for us to come to Manila again, and same in Tokyo, and same to like in Hong Kong, all these places. Like we just went there like for 2 days, played pickup basketball, showed our film, did Q&As, and now we got friendships for life with most of these people. So. This is the biggest memory I think I have of everything,
Yeah, you just reminded me that we did the Hong Kong screening only because there was an issue with the passports and we couldn't go to China. Do you remember that? Yeah. We couldn't get out of China, so we were stuck in Hong Kong for 2 days, and we called a bunch of basketball buddies, and we were like, yo, let's do a screening. They were like, bet, let's do it. I'd have to say that perhaps the Rucker Park screening was really like just because it's such a legendary court, and I lived just a mile away, and heard so many stories, and just partnering with the Maisel Cinema, which is like my favorite indie playhouse in New York. Rest in peace to Mr. Maisel, who passed away a couple of years ago, but always supportive of my independent documentary filmmaking. Let's talk about this photo since we're on this topic of outdoor parks. So Doing It in the Park, Pickup Basketball NYC is a documentary that was released in 2013. It's still available on all digital platforms, Vimeo, iTunes, Amazon, you name it. It was on PBS series for 2 years, the Afropop series. It was also on Netflix for about 3 years. But imagine doing it in the park without doing it in the park. On March 11th, the pandemic really affected New York City to the point where this amazing town started to shut down, and within a week, the Parks and Recreations Department took down the rims. You see the blank backboard there, which was, for me, completely devastating. I'm 53 years old. I still play ball every single day. And without the ability to put up jumpers, it really, really was like depressing. And just last week on July 6th, I happened to be in the park when the rims went back up, and I listen. I offered a tip to the workers. Literally, I had like two $50 bills in my pocket, and I was like, "Yo, fellas, thanks so much. You brought so much joy to me and my son today." And they're like, hey, we're city workers. We can't accept a tip. I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. I'm not trying to disrespect. But I was like, well, how's it been? And they said the court that they went to previously, they received a standing ovation from everybody there. And mind you, this is like 10:30 a.m. on a Monday, and so, I'm so thankful that I have that activity available to me again. And, but I do, for the people, for the participants who are listening, I do want to advocate that you don't join a 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 or 5-on-5. Just go out there and shoot jumpers, do drills. I don't want to see a spike in this city, similar to the other locales that have reopened. And, and just because they'll take the rims down just as quickly, So Milani, I saw that you started playing again with your son running around, running 17s behind you. How did you deal the last 4 months with the pandemic and not having basketball readily available, especially in the summertime, which me and Kevin in our film celebrated and paid homage to, and for the first time in our lives, it's not present.
Yeah, I mean, the summer is always huge for me because, I work with the grassroots basketball and, have my own workout that I do at Edmonds Playground. And so some of the parents sent me video of them taking the rims down. And then I got messages from, a lot of the kids that, I work out, and they were sad, like, well, Milani, what else can I do? And, just trying to keep them uplifted, with their spirits and everything, and let them know, like, well, you still want to do your abs, you still want to go running, like, try to stay active, as much as possible. And, some of my kids, they actually went and had their parents buy them the portable rims, and they,
really?
Put it in the street or put it in the backyard and started doing that. And some of the parents told me that the prices, they saw a spike in the prices.
Is that right?
Portable rims.
Is price gouging? Uber does that too, when there's a bigger demand than the price. Forget the word. Anyway, but that should be illegal.
Yeah.
If anything, they should have been discounted to accommodate people dealing with, missing their love.
You would think so.
Mm-hmm.
You would think so. But
that would have been the ethical thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you think about it. This is the first time we don't have any tournaments. Like,
Ever.
I mean, Coach Couch called me and was like, Milani, no, there's no permit. There's no Uptown Challenge this summer.
Yep.
Boom. There's no Dykeman this summer. Boom. There's no Gersh. There's nothing. No West Fork. So that's crazy. Like, not only do we play in the tournaments, we might help direct some, or, we just did one at Rucker Park last year, Basketball Beauties, and all of this other stuff. We're so engaged in basketball for the summertime. To not have it just took a hit. Not only are we working in it for, the youth, but just to play for fun on our own, for your leisure. So it's been tough, but I'm glad that, now they're back up. So everyone just has to stay safe and listen to the guidelines so they don't take it back down.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, listen, my tournament Full Court 21, which I started 2013, and I'm still waiting for Milani Malik to play in it one day.
I got
But you know, last summer it was presented in 30 international cities. Kevin was at the Paris qualifier. The all world final was won by a woman from Milan. The men's final was won by a player from Toronto. And you know, it really felt like it was the height of FC 21 in its short time. And then boom, you know, Parks and Rec is now honoring permit requests, completely advocate for that. But yeah, it's a tough time for all this. But on the flip side, the thing that makes me joyful is that this summer, with the absence of tournaments, the focus is on pickup, right? Like the only thing you can do outdoors in New York right now is play pickup, you know, and hopefully it's at a distance and it's just like, you know, fun playground games like shooter, you know, 3-point shootouts, 50 if you call it, in 500 you call it in Brooklyn's, in the bank, you know, up in the Upper West Side they call it 50, up in Washington Heights, you know, different types of shooting games and stuff like that. Like that's, you know, horse should be something that we all like really empower ourselves to play, because you can do those things at a distance from other people. And you know, the thing that I found most profound was this past week, I met a player from Indiana State named Ron Wells. He's all state in Indiana, played with Mike Conley. And you know, he recognized me, we started shooting around. And I was like, you know what? I miss playing, I miss putting up jumpers, but what I really miss is the camaraderie and the experience of the culture of outdoor pickup basketball, where you could just meet a stranger at any point and have a common ground, you know. And that's why me and Kevin met. That's why Milani, you and I met, you know. It's this common ground. You know, we all come from way different backgrounds. You know, Milani, you're a vegan from birth before I even knew what vegan meant. You know, you're like the first vegan that I ever like really like got cool with, you know, on a basketball team. But anyway, I feel like I'm talking too much.
Yeah, you know,
Kevin, what's been the experience for you? You know, in terms of pickup basketball in Paris and France, taking a hit during this pandemic.
We didn't take it as hard as you guys, because you know we're lucky to have like some gyms here, and we had like a private run, secret run, you know, that we're basically secret run where we'd go like twice a week with a crew of guys. So I didn't really stop playing basketball, and you know, like even if it was unsafe, you know, in some ways we kept playing. But you know, like when the pandemic started, it made me think of when we were shooting the film, you know, in 2011 during the NBA lockouts.
Yes.
You know, like we were shooting pickup basketball, doing a piece about pickup basketball, and boom, the NBA shuts down. The brands don't have anything to say about basketball anymore because their athletes are not playing on NBA floors anymore. And now, like, they launched like Nike launches the Basketball Never Stops campaign. Boom, you know, like we are back in pickup basketball world, and we were right on time, you know, with the film, because we were even ahead of our time before the lockout.
Yeah.
And with the virus, you know, I was thinking that brands would do the same in some ways, but since pickup basketball stopped, also in some ways, you know, me, I've been lucky because my archives, you know, like my photo archives of streetball, like got some value, and some brands bought me like photos, you know,
nice
for campaign. But you know, like pickup basketball will always be there, and definitely it's a great social tool for us, and that's why I guess we still play even if we're old now.
Kevin and Milani, we're going to take it, pass it to questions from the audience, but I want to ask the two of you two things before we do that. What did doing it in the park pickup basketball NYC present to you in terms of opportunities since? How, like, I mean, more so in Kevin's case, because Milani, I think you were on your path regardless of the film or not. But you know, what gift did it give you?
I guess a sense of achievement. You know, like to achieve a project from A to Z and something on the long term, and you know, once I got back in France with the project and people like started noticing the film, and it helped me like create a career in TV commercials and in career as a DOP too on some documentaries in France. And as a photographer, I started getting hired more and more like to shoot campaigns and work with like the major actors of our field, you know, like Nike and Jordan Brand and the NBA. So,
And FIBA, you've done some fantastic work with FIBA, the 3-on-3.
Yeah, with the FIBA. Yeah, and in some ways, you know, like I was really like humbled to see that those brands basically like recognize my work and acknowledge the how can I say that the dedication I put into documenting grassroots basketball.
Yeah, and it's well deserved. You earned it. You know, don't let anybody tell you that you're lucky, because you created your own good luck. You know, you put yourself out there, and you got a lot of angels on your shoulders. Milani, what about you? What did the film present to you since, or how do you look back on it now, 10 years later?
Definitely a lot more exposure and noticeability. Like I would get random messages on Facebook from literally all around the world, and I'm like, okay. And then I look, they follow Bobbito and Kevin. I'm like, okay. They started to like just follow people from the film. And I was like,
nice,
okay.
Nice.
You know, and just messaging me and just like, oh, it would really be great if you can just message me back. And I'm like, hey, they're like, you really wrote me back. And I'm like, okay, yeah. You know, it was funny, but
that's great.
Someone else, they were like, can I send you a card? Like they literally, I guess, took a picture of me off of Facebook and was like, can you sign it and then send it back? I did it. And they were like, thank you so much. But I mean, you know, you never know what something means to someone. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I thought that was cool. And a funny story, when I met Norm, my husband, in 2015, you know, I was telling him, oh, you know, I'm in that film doing a part because, you know, we're flipping through. I'm like, I'm in it. Really? Word? He watched it. Now, here's the part that I thought was amazing. His younger brother watched the movie and had no idea that was me. And he went back and watched it. Now, what made it beautiful is that he's deaf. He lost his hearing when he was 2. And so he said, you don't understand what that film meant to me because it had a part for us.
Oh my God, I'm going to start crying now. Yeah,
you know, he said it had a part in there for us. And I don't watch documentaries that they say anything about me because his younger brother was everything. Like they wanted to put him in a regular school, but it would be tough, you know, trying to play. But he did play basketball at his deaf school and he was amazing and went off and got his master's and everything. So, you know, it's a big basketball family from Coney Island, but, you know, but from him being deaf, he just wanted me to also let you know how much he really loved that film. And he knows a lot of those people.
You telling me this 5 years later?
And
you holding out on us.
Crazy, like it's so crazy because you know everything just came full circle. You know he was touched. He was truly touched by the film. You know he was so happy that you showed that hey, we're deaf, but we still play basketball too.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm popping up again from the museum because we've got a lot of great questions and we have time for some of them. So I'm just going to read them and share them. Can't get to all of them, but try and get to most of them.
Let's just do one. Let's do them one by one. And,
okay.
We'll try to respond rapidly.
Milani, what was your AKA name on the court? And what has changed, if anything, about women participating in New York City streetball since you made the film?
AKA just Eminem, Milani Malik, or Rucker Park, they said, you know, the cute one, or AKA slick back, because I will always put my hair in a slick back pony.
I like slick back. That's dope.
But it has changed because now you will see women starting their own groups and having gyms where it's women only, or okay, you know what? Hey, we're gonna have runs here, and a whole bunch of women go to the park. You know, instead of just it's always that one female playing with just the men. You know, more women are not as afraid, or you know, just it's growing. The women's game is growing, so you see a lot of young females. You know, obviously we all play together at the grassroots level, you know, boys and girls. And when you get a little bit higher, they stop. But a lot of women, they play with the men because they want to get better. You know, obviously a lot of guys are physically stronger and faster. So if you can fare and hold your own with the men, then, you know, they feel it'll be even better when they play with women.
That's the exact line from the film. You must have watched the film a lot of times. You've memorized your line well. Allow me to add that there's a Ladies Who Hoop. Is a phenomenal group, and they organize pickup runs. They also have a Ladies Who Hoop.
Amber, shout out.
Amber Batchelor, dear friend of mine for 25 years. But they also have a tournament. They have a mentoring for young girls. And but Sunday mornings they're at 99th Street in Amsterdam at the Go Park playing ball. There's also a women's group on Saturdays or Sundays on 5th Street and Park Slope between 4th and 5th Avenue. I forget the name of the schoolyard, but there's 5 full courts there, and the women take over one of the courts in the mornings on the weekends. So, but yeah.
Great. What differences did you all pick up in, what differences did you all notice in pickup basketball between the 5 boroughs?
There's none, and that's a complete question that gets asked pretty often. Yeah. But that was more relevant in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Perhaps the 60s a little bit, and even the 70s less so. But from the 80s on, there's no anyone who says that doesn't travel among the boroughs. You know, they just, I'm not saying they're ignorant, but you got flashy players in Brooklyn. You got hard-nosed players in Brooklyn. You got flashy players in Harlem. You got hard-nosed players in Harlem. You got the bullies in the Bronx. There's bullies in Staten Island. This, you know, basketball is pretty even throughout the 5 boroughs. You know, and now with the advent of documentation and video footage, you know, the rest of the world, you know, you used to be able to tell a player from New York in 3 seconds when he or she walked in the gym in the 1990s and prior. But in the last 20 years, you have a player from Tokyo who speaks no English, who looks like a kid from 155th and 8th Avenue, with the exception of, you know, their features. But other than that, like as far as their dress, their walk, you know, so it's global now.
Great. Here's a comment/question. Huge fan, this is from an anonymous, huge fan of your respective works, Bobbito and Kevin. Look forward to watching the film. From your travels and storytelling around the world, what's the common theme you see represented through basketball? What's the power of this game that you see time and time again wherever you go?
If I may, I'd say just the social impact, you know, the power of inclusion of basketball. Wherever you are, this game is magic in some ways, you know, because you see it already in New York City. You don't need to travel really far. I mean, you know, in West Force, you see like people of all kind of backgrounds play together, and you know, that's what we saw in the film. Me during my travels, that's what impacts me the most, is how like the game creates a connection between people. That's what I'm working right now, you know, on a docuseries about that, like how the game impacts the monks in Tibet, how the game impacts the Muslim woman playing behind closed doors in Somalia. There's magic to the game, and that's how like we connected to do this film, and we with Bobbito and with the characters of the film, and I think that's what it needs to be highlighted with basketball.
Yeah, I mean, allow me to share. I'm looking at the participants. Travis from Alaska is on. Nanad, who's originally from Serbia, now lives in Dubai, is on. Shanae, who lives in Harlem, from Queens, half Puerto Rican, is on. Like, you could just look at the people who are on this group and see like a myriad of different backgrounds and nationalities and ethnicities. And that's exactly how it's reflected on the court as well.
Well, question was, what's the toughest interview to get? And is there anyone you really wanted to get but couldn't?
I mean, we tried to get Kemba Walker. We didn't get him. Who else? I think there's someone we tried to go to. We didn't get Lloyd Daniels. We saw him, but we didn't manage to interview him.
Yeah.
There was.
I think we were.
We didn't get Ron Artest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had a couple of more like NBA level guys that we want to get on camera, but it's kind of like when you had the championship game and you look at the bench and you only got 5 players. You're not thinking about who's not playing, who's injured, who got kicked off the squad. You're thinking about like, this is who we're going to the chip with. Let's make this happen. And so, in the most positive way, we're very, very proud of the Julius Irving interview, the Pee Wee Kirkland interview, the Fly Williams interview, Kenny Smith, Kenny Anderson, Corey Homicide Williams, just as much as Uki and Tillery Street and Gigi Brown, who has become a fantastic trainer now with the MBPA and a former member of the Harlem Magic Masters. At that point, she was just playing pickup and playing tournaments and stuff, and so yeah, I mean, it's across the board.
Yeah.
All of them didn't released yet too.
What happened?
And all the interviews that didn't make the cut, we still have a lot of unseen footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next question is, in the spirit of your film, can you please explain why NYC will always be the Mecca of basketball? What's so special about NYC and basketball?
Well, I think that's answered in the film. I don't want to be repetitive, but maybe that person hasn't seen the film yet. I'm not trying to be obtuse, but I think that's the word. But yeah, watch the film. The answer is like super clear. Watch the film 3 times. You'll get it. But I mean, New York can never be replaced as the Mecca of the sport. The reason why is that we have the decades of folklore and history, legends, and sure, Chicago may have produced more NBA players, and Chicago has its own fantastic history, and sure, Venice Beach is, this hotbed for pickup, and sure, K54 and Paris has the biggest tournament in the world outdoors right now, 10, 15,000 people, but you can't touch history, just can't. And we contributed so much to the sport. I mean, go to the City Game exhibition at the Museum of the City of New York. It's like we couldn't even fit everything that we needed to in that exhibition. There's so much that was cut out.
Yeah.
That could have been the entire museum, not just one floor or one room.
Well, then, going really detailed, which playground court, in your opinions, all of them, has stood the test of time when it comes to consistent competition level and attendance in NYC? If you had to pick one.
Milani, you want to tackle that?
I mean, you can't. You have to say Rucka, but it's like it's different now. It's not like how it was back in the day. But if you're talking about the history, people would sitting in the trees just to watch, the games at Rucker.
But let me qualify this, because I think the question is asking about pickup run, not about tournament. Now the run at Rucker, the run at Rucker, is not incredible. It's a really long court, and most.
Then it would be West 4th.
But so would you consider West 4th as consistent? She said the level. The question was, where has the level been consistent across the board? What court has the consistent level of competition? That's a tough question, because pickup is completely unpredictable.
Yeah, because sometimes it's trash at places that's supposed to be good, and then other times it's like. But that's anyway. I've been to Venice Beach where there's a bunch of bums on it. Yeah. I'm like, yo, come on, like this is the legendary court. But you could do that. You could go to Rucker. You can go to West 4th. You can go to Tillery. You can go to Solon Hole. You can go anywhere in New York.
Anywhere, and it's gonna be a bunch of bums. It depends on the time of the day and who. You got to know when.
It's a good day.
Yeah, when the cat's gonna be out there. But I think the surprising thing for me and Kev, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, but we would go to parks, and me, I'd be like, I was a bunch of scrubs, and me and Kev would suit up, and we lose a game, we lose a nut. The thing about the local cats that play, they don't have to have the Dykeman jersey, they may not even play organized ball, but they know that park, and they play there every day, so that's their home. So the level of their competition, you may not look at them as a highly skilled ball player, but they know how to win on that court. So that's the beauty of the game. There's a lot of surprise. We took a lot of L's. We got a lot of respect too. We smacked a lot of people too, but
let them know.
Kev, it was called, what did they call Kev? They called Kevin croissant. Yeah, he was hitting him with the French crossover.
All right, here's a question. This is my favorite basketball documentary. Have you guys thought about going global and creating a series of Doing It in the Park global edition, especially with a focus countries like Puerto Rico, France, Serbia, and the Balkans, who all have strong pickup basketball cultures?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm writing right now. And being the foreign part of the duo of Doing It in a Park, that's my responsibility to tell the stories overseas. And basically that's what I've been writing. And the pandemic has helped me a lot, like going writing stuff. And so yeah, that's I talked to Bobbito about it already, and he knows. The goal would be to do a docuserie about the social impact of the game around the world, because we've seen a lot of brands speak a basketball stories and put their logo on it, but I think it can be better told by the people themselves in a documentary form, and so that's the goal now. Yeah, as I was saying, what is the impact of basketball in the most remote places around the world, or the places that people don't expect to see basketball? And you have amazing stories, obviously in Serbia, in Argentina, in Africa. That I've been exploring Africa for the past 6 years with a non-profit called Giants of Africa, and I've been to refugee camps, I've been to Somalia, I've been to Rwanda and Congo, and you see the game and the potential in these places, and you basically just want to tell the stories of these people who are trying to be part of the culture.
Yeah.
Allow me to recommend a fantastic book written by senior writer for the Sports Illustrated publication, Alex Wolf, who's a friend of ours and is interviewed in Doing It in the Park, Pickup Basketball NYC. But it's called Big Game, Small World. Now, his previous book was the In Your Face basketball book, where he traveled throughout the United States and took notes on every single. Oh, there it is. Big Game, Small World. He went to the Bhutan. He went to Croatia. He went to Manila. He just goes to all these places. Every chapter is just really riveting. And you get these amazing background stories about how basketball has affected multitudes of people around the world. So
awesome. Well, I think we,
No, don't cut us off. Come on.
well, we got I got a beautiful comment to read. Hi guys, my name is Bo. I come from China and I lived in New York City for about 2 years, now Toronto. I still can't believe I'm in the same Zoom session now with people in this movie and people behind it. Basketball guided me and impacted my life greatly. And I was wondering if I could have an opportunity to say thank you to them.
Word. Milani, I think that's the dude that asked you for your signed photo.
Then we've got time. One more question, which is, would you ever consider, now that when the pandemic is over, doing a kind of update film about streetball culture now and going back out on the courts and looking at what people are up to 10 years later?
I think here in New York, our film, Doing It in the Park, Pick Up Basketball NYC, is being screened by the Museum of the City of New York 7 years later because it's evergreen, you know, and it could be watched 10 years from now and it will still be relevant. Maybe certain courts might be hotter than they were 20 years ago, but, you know, Rucker, West Fourth, the history is not going to be erased. It's not going to be washed away. So it'll still be relevant. I don't really see the need to do a follow-up. I mean, sure, we are in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of a unique time where, for the first time ever, New York did not have rims up throughout the 5 boroughs. That's ever. I mean, dating back to the 1930s when the Parks and Recreation started building courts. Maybe prior to that, there weren't rims up in every playground, but since they started putting them up, they've never taken them down. You know, so it's a unique time, but perhaps maybe someone does a documentary about it. You know, I'm very happy with what we did. I've since directed 2 films, Stretch and Bobbito, Radio That Changed Lives. And then my last was an autobiographical documentary titled Rock, Rubber 45s. And I can honestly look back at Doing It in the Park and maybe want to change 3 things about it, you know, that I can live with, but I'm like, we should have done a different song title. I mean, a song cue on this scene, or, oh man, we could have edited it just a touch, like little stuff, you know. But I'm not saying the film is perfect, but the film, you know, we're proud of it. I'm proud of Milani being so supportive of it and being in it. You know, Kevin and I were bonded for life, you know. Can't go to France without people like, yo, where's Kevin? Like, I don't know. He's not my wife. Like, I'm in a club, like, yo, where's Kevin? Like, I don't know where's Kevin. Like, go ask him. Go on his WhatsApp. You know. Well,
I want to extend an enormous thank you to Bobbito, to Kevin, to Milani. It's been such an honor to have you join us, talk to us about the film. And thank you for your time. I want to invite everyone who's watching to come back next time for the next installment of Moonlight and Movies on Monday, August 3rd at 7 p.m. We're going to have a screening and a conversation with the directors of another amazing documentary. It's called New Yorican Basket, about the Puerto Rican, New Yorican basketball tradition.
I'm in it. I'm in it. Oh,
yes. Bobbito is a talking head in it. So please join us. Check out mcny.org for that information. And last but not least, I want to say that the museum is thrilled to be opening its doors again next week on July 23rd. So we invite everyone to come on in. We have lots of good social distancing, safe things in place, but you can come check out City Game exhibition for yourself and all our other exhibitions. So we cannot wait until we see you then at 1220 Fifth Avenue. And with that, thank you again to everyone. Be safe and have a great night.
Peace.
Peace.